When it comes to tracking your hashtags, which metrics matter and how can you track them? I'm Chia and I'm going to explain all this inside this video. Hey, it's Chia from Brand24, and today I'm going to explain how to track your hashtags and which metrics matter most. So this includes how many times your hashtag is used, where they're used, when they're used, and who is using them. So let's start with how many times people use your hashtag. So I think this is the perfect time to mention a few tools that you guys can use just for this, especially since platforms like Twitter don't show you how often your hashtag is used. You can search for your hashtag in the Twitter search bar and it will bring up every occurrence on the platform, but it won't count how many times it's used. What you need here is a hashtag tracker of sorts. So there are even a couple free tools for this. First, there's RiteTag, which will tell you how many times your hashtag is used on Twitter and Instagram, and also show you suggestions for related trending hashtags. And Hashtagify is pretty similar to RiteTag. It counts how many times the hashtag has been used on Twitter and Instagram. It suggests related trending hashtags, and it also looks at the general popularity of the hashtag. So both RiteTag and Hashtagify have free and paid versions. The free versions are, as expected, a little more limited, but if you're only interested in tracking how many times your hashtag is used on these two platforms, Twitter and Instagram, and you don't really need deeper analytics, then you can definitely take a look at these tools. Now, if on the other hand, you need to keep track of how your hashtags are doing all over the internet and not only on Twitter and Instagram, you might want to check out Brand24. Since it is a social media monitoring tool, it also lets you track other stuff besides hashtags like your brand reputation, your customer reviews, your competitors, and of course your hashtag. So I use Brand24 myself, so I'm going to show you how to see how many times a hashtag was used from there. And we are going to look at the 10-year challenge hashtag. So basically, as soon as you log in, you are shown how many times your keyword or your hashtag has been used. And you can also filter the data to see how many times the hashtag was used on just Facebook, just Twitter, just videos, or all over the internet, just everywhere. An important tip I want to offer here is that most internet monitoring tools start collecting data the moment you set up a project. So if you started tracking your hashtag a few days ago, like I did, then the tool would start collecting mentions from that moment on and not earlier. So in other words, you want to plan ahead and set up your web monitoring tool to start tracking your hashtags well in advance, preferably before you even start to promote your hashtag campaign. And another hashtag metric you want to track is where your hashtag is being used. So once you unleash a hashtag into the World Wide Web, you have no control over where it's used. The internet connects us all, and even if your hashtag wasn't meant for a particular website, it could very well take off there. And if you did have a specific platform in mind, then you definitely want to keep track of where your hashtag is gaining traction. You can see where your hashtags are being used in the Sources tab under Pages. So I explained this a little more in another video about how to find the best social media sites for your business. You should see a little pop-up on the upper right corner of this video right now. You can click on it to check that out, or I will also put a link to it at the end of this video. Now, tracking when your hashtags are used is also really important because it can help you figure out if something gave you really great results. For example, we can see that the 10-year challenge hashtag was used a lot on the 14th with a good amount of social media reach, and it grows on the 15th. However, the social media reach, which is the bottom line, has a much sharper incline than the number of mentions, which speaks to more drastic growth in social media reach. It's likely that the 10-year challenge hashtag was used by more influential profiles on January 15th, who typically get a lot more views on their posts than the average person, and that's why the social media reach has a sharper incline. You can check this in your data. Of course, if you are tracking your own hashtag for your own campaign, I recommend using some other tools such as Google Analytics together with social media monitoring. Having multiple sources of data can help you identify the mysterious factors that have been driving you crazy, such as the source of your direct traffic. That's another topic for another video. And now, finding out who is using your hashtag is another metric that you definitely want to track. An important reason here is because it helps you find those influential profiles that I mentioned earlier, the ones that get a lot of views on their posts and increase the social media reach of your hashtag. So you might be surprised at the profiles you find on this list, whether they're big name influencers, they're micro-influencers, or they're just from companies in complementary industries. Finding out who's using your hashtag is also a great starting point for building some meaningful relationships. You can see who is using your hashtag in Sources under Authors. And this was just a really general look at how to track your hashtags, plus the metrics that matter. So remember to monitor how many times your hashtag is used, where they're used, when they're used, and who is using them. And that's it for today. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section below, or you can also comment on what you want to hear about next time. And if you found this video helpful, feel free to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where I will be explaining how you can do even more in social media and digital marketing. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something useful, and I will see you next time. Bye.